Next, let's look at problem set 2. Now that we've laid that foundation of finding all of the roots, which is a great band by the way, but finding all of the roots of a radical expression, they just want you to practice that in a couple of these problems. And what they want you to really do think about here is you have to keep all this stuff right up here up in mind as you're doing these problems here. Okay, so look at part A right here. This first practice problem gives all the cube roots of -8. Okay, recall, you can easily grab your calculators very, very, very easily and go ahead and calculate what the cube root of -8 is. Try not to get too scared off by the fact that it's a negative number under the root. Remember, negative roots are okay if the index, is what we call that number up there, is odd. So in this case we have, let's see here, there's my math button, there it is. So a cube root of -8, think of it this way, doesn't it make sense that -2 times -2 times -2 would make a -8? Yes, it would. So that's why our answer that we have right over there is -2. B, give us the square root. Now, do you notice something here that might be a little bit perturbing here? Do you see how it says the square root of 0.04? Gives you one answer there, and it's 0.2. Do you notice what makes this question different? Look at the bold print. What is each real number root? Different from this question right here. It's asking what are all of the real fourth roots. Okay? They want all of them here in this problem. So why aren't they giving us all of them here? Well, it's this little definition right up here called the principal root. Okay? So that's first bullet right there. The positive root's called the principal root. Its symbol, there it is. The negative root, the opposite, would be this. Now, basically the only way I can best describe this to you, ladies and gentlemen, and this really does bother math students quite a bit, is usually the question that pops up is, when am I supposed to come up with 2 answers, Mr. Cook? When am I supposed to only come up with 1? Here's when you're supposed to come up with 2. When you are presented an algebra problem, okay? Here's an algebra problem, x squared equals 16, and I want you to solve. In those problems, when I want you to solve for a variable, okay, you are responsible for every single answer that exists, okay? The difference between what you just saw right here in blue and what you see right here, they aren't asking you to solve for x. All they want you to do is to simplify and tell us what the square root, in fact, the positive square root, if I put a little plus sign right there, of 0.04. That's it. So that was your job. You did it successfully. Okay? High five. Oops, wrong button. Now you're back. Okay? Take a look at this right here. Look at C. The fourth root of -1. Since there is no real root, there is no real number whose fourth power is -1. So realize that that's also still on the table. Now here is a trap. Okay? I can just hear Admiral Akbar right now just saying, it's a trap! Is the square root of -2 squared? We learned back when we were dealing with I, right? With this business right here, if we take I, that's equal to the square root of -1. Yes? Yes. And then when we squared both sides, we realize what a square does to a square root is it cancels each other out. So now we'd be left with this little statement right here that I squared would be equal to a -1. Well, that trap can burn some students when it comes to an example like D. So when you're on this problem, here's the key to success on this problem, is make sure that you let order of operations take control here. And if we are letting order of operations take control, don't we have to square that -2 first and make that 4 and then take the square root of 4, and so then our correct answer would just be +2. So does it make sense why it would be incorrect to say that our answer is -2? It's because of order of operations there. They gave us an operation to do it. There's actually a radical, there's an exponent underneath that radical. Any exponents here? No. 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 And if there were exponents there, we would be expected to do them. But since there is an exponent here, we are expected to figure that out first before we take that radical. Very, very key understanding part right there that we make sure that we catch. Okay? So now down here on these 4. Okay? We'll pause this video again, give you a couple of minutes, and then we'll go over the answers. Alright, so let's take a look at that first one, the cube root of -27, right? Can we picture a number that when you multiply it by itself 3 times, you get a -27? Well, the number's got to be negative, right? And so the correct answer here should be negative 3, right? Kaboom. So negative 3 would be the cube root of negative 27. What would be the fourth root of negative 81? Think about it. Careful. That's right. No real root. There is no real root for the fourth root of negative 81 because we're taking an even root of a negative number. How about this one down here in the bottom left, the square root of negative 7 squared? Did we learn our lesson from example D right here? Order of operations. Don't we have to square that first before we take that root? So if we square that negative 7, don't we actually end up with the square root of 49, which we actually can do the square root of 49. And the square root of 49 would give us a positive 7. However, we look at that one on the bottom right, square root of negative 49 has no real root. Okay? So you'll see several problems on your homework where you're just doing that for me. Watch out for when it's an odd index versus an even index and how many solutions there should be, or if there is even an answer at all.